Well, good afternoon. Today is January 20th, 2026. 6 o'clock meeting here, Rowan County Commissioners. Thank you for coming. Looks like we've got have to be here crowd tonight instead of want to be here. So anyway, we're glad that you're here either way. As we do for all of our meetings, we're going to invite our Sheriff Chaplain to come forward and bless us with a prayer. We're going to have a pledge as well, but we always explain what this prayer is for the folks that are watching. This is legally called a solemnizing prayer. We hold it at the beginning of the meeting, and it's for the commissioners. It's not for y'all. You're welcome to listen along. But we ask our chaplain to come forward, and really our request is that he just pray for wisdom, because we have decisions to make every day, every week, that we want to make good decisions for the folks of Rowan County. And so we're going to ask him to come do that. Commissioners, if you'll join me, we'll get started. Thank you.
Commissioners, let's pray. Lord, we're pleased to be here tonight, dear Lord. Thanks that we can come and pray on behalf of our county commissioners, dear Lord, where you give them the wisdom and knowledge they need, not on this meeting, but the days ahead, dear Lord. I thank you for what they do to prepare, dear Lord. I thank you for what they go through, dear Lord. If they just remind me of being a preacher, you please some people and some people you don't, but you got to keep going forward. So you bless them, strengthen them, help them in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's all it took.
I wish Carolyn would have got some softer chairs when she recovered.
Excuse me. Can't shake the cough. Thank you, Chaplain Taylor. No. A couple of things. Let's see. We've got item V as in Victor to add to our consent agenda. That should have been sent. That's the item for Fountain Works. For our retreat, we'll add that as item V. Also, we're going to pull item D on the active agenda, so 4D. We're going to pull that. D is in dog, as we say here. Any other changes, friends? No? All right, then we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
And a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, consent agenda. Motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
All right, and a second.
Aye.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. I did want to, before we get rolling tonight, I'd like to welcome Sarah Newell. Sarah is the school superintendent in Kannapolis, our neighbor to the south, part of our community. And so we appreciate her coming here, and I'm glad you were able to find a seat tonight. Good for you. Just snuck in at the last minute. So welcome. Anyone for public comment? No? Oh, that's a disappointment. We're used to that. Also, we have a new attorney here sitting. I'm not sure what's going on, but that's okay. They switched seats
In
tonight.
training, right?
Jay will send candy to you back there here in a minute. Yep, that's what he's really here for. Is we pay him about $18,000 a year, but give him all the candy he wants. We don't have any special recognition, do we? No, I don't think so. All right, we're gonna move on then. Item A on our agenda. Shane, welcome. It's always good to see you, Shane. Danke, Shane.
Good evening, everybody. All right. So as this is pulling up, this is a text amendment request from NC Salisbury LLC, which have a lot of LLCs around, but this primarily is from Rowan RV, the general RV folks. They had an interest in a text amendment pertaining to rooftop solar allowed in the airport zone overlay. So this would be an amendment to the zoning ordinance. currently, rooftop solar for non-residential uses are not permitted in the conical and horizontal surfaces of the airport. And I won't go through all the background here unless you have any questions, but just very briefly, y'all remember a moratorium about 6 years ago? Went through that. The culmination of that 18-month review process indicated that maybe we don't want to have solar within the airport in any size. So I think after that time, there's been some consideration of some changes. And the first occurred back in February of 24. There was a change that accommodated rooftop solar for residential. That was softened that if it's under 6,000 square feet, had the anti-reflective coating on the panels, that it would be acceptable, and therefore the board in this text amendment Z0124 adopted that change. So this is another subsequent change from NC Salisbury where they would like to allow the rooftop solar. And I was started about 10 months ago. So the planning board first evaluated the request. It was a pretty lengthy request that pertained both to ground mount and roof mount. There was quite the reservation at the board level initially, but with the concerns primarily being tied to ongoing maintenance and concern about whether these panels would degrade over time, we did a deep dive as staff and also some other county officials, and then met back with the applicant, and they agreed to make some changes to their proposed text amendment. And I'm going to touch on those here. It also garnered, with the airport director, she's not opposed to this request, and accepts that as again, not having a concern or opposition to the change. So with that, I will share what the applicant is proposing that includes all the staff comments and recommendations, and do want to point out two things that we noticed during the change holistically that needed to be amended as well. So on your screen here, at the bottom of page 2, this pertains to ground mount residential systems, where it was a little bit unclear that the red section here to be added would indicate that the AR coding would apply for ground mount systems, and then when we calculate, if there is any within the AZO, we also count both for the collective 6,000 square foot max, both rooftop and ground mount for residential. So it's a little bit of an oversight, but that clarifies this section here. On page 3, and this is the meat of what we want to talk about tonight. So the changes up here under roof-mounted systems. Any non-residential use, they're currently prohibited from having solar collectors, but if they're in the AZO. So the first change will allow those panels to be on the roof of a structure for a non-residential use if they have AR coating, anti-reflective coating. From the manufacturer, they're not supposed to have reflectivity causing glare or anything from above. So with this change, this applies to any size solar. And really with the focus of tonight would be the next part, where additionally, if you're within the AZO, that if it exceeds 6,000 square foot, which was our base requirement that it applied to a lot of different functions, from the cap and residential to the standards where we're opening up anywhere, to all of these standards, A through F, or E, excuse me. Yeah, A through E. This is what an application would have to support. One is a glare analysis. They would use the Solar Glare Hazard Analysis Tool, SGHAT for acronym, or an equivalent, to demonstrate that there's no potential for glare or quote-unquote low potential for after image at any point that's pertaining to the airport. Don't worry about that terminology. It's a common accepted from FAA and any other source that cites, is there a glare problem from this object to an observation point of interest? And again, here would be all the airport area, the flight path, 2-mile glide slope, et cetera. Everything we're capturing here. The applicant has agreed to also, within all the input measures, have a North Carolina registered professional engineer to concur with those input measures to ensure we have a good solid study, nothing's left out in that analysis. B, they have to not only commit to the ARC coding, but there's also an assurance that based on the manufacturer model number and all the other specifications that this panel system would have less than 2% reflectivity. So that's similar to this, where any system less than 6,000 would have to have ARC, but we're stating that the 2% is the threshold here too. In the operations, after the construction and prior to operation, they have another PE certification that it's installed per the original evaluation and all the manufacturing specs, and we have a completed product that matches sort of the as-built conditions. D, the applicant will also submit to periodic testings. And this is the concern about panel degradation over time. There was a concern of what will these panels look like year 1, 2, so on, up to 30 years. There's a commitment here that every 5 years that they have a testing, and the ASTM is sort of your standardized society for measuring various forms of areas of interest. In this case here, section C1549 is a test for reflectivity from any source, that albedo from, in this case, the solar panels, that they must demonstrate that it will not exceed 2%. And that's every 5 years. They're committing to that as part of their operational plan. If there's any degradation of the system, at the bottom of page 3, top of page 4, that exceeds 3% or 2%, they have to either repair, replace, or correct, regardless of whether it's operational or not. Under E is compliance-related testing. If we receive any complaint, staff or the airport, that, it seems like there's a concern here, we'll look back and see the last test. Or every 5 years, these will occur. So theoretically, within 180 days, if it's the 181st day past the last test, they could have to perform another one and not have to wait 4.5 more years for another testing. So with all this, they've committed to that degree of assurance. And let me touch on one more point here, then I'll wrap that section up. Another change pertaining to residential uses, rooftop solar in the AZO. We also have, if there's any ground mount that someone has as part of this operation, that you collectively look for the 6,000 square foot between rooftop and ground mount too. Another, probably an oversight, but also an assumption. So with all that, the planning board looked at the revised text and provided a unanimous recommendation of support and offered at the bottom of page 4 a statement for the board to consider. And I think I already mentioned too that Ms. Steele has no opposition to the text, and the applicant, or there's multiple applicants. There was one signed, and that person's not present, but someone from the solar company is here if the board has any questions about the request or anything I can't answer. But again, from the discussion that we had at the staff level to other folks in the county, airport director, planning board, this is the culmination of that review.
Shane, I only have one question. Over the years, as we talk about, the issue of enforcement comes up, and generally, no one's really excited about taking on another additional job for you guys, whether that's us committing you to it or you committing to it. So what's the difference here, and how is this just going to be simple? Do you put it on your calendar for 5 years? Or are we just relying on their goodwill to do the tests?
It's a good question. So part of their plan, they have to commit to this, but also there is a degree of follow-up. Our office does yearly mobile home park or manufactured home park inspections. So that's the thing to calendar, and this is another in the mini list that we will do our best to maintain. But we're hoping this latter part is maybe a fail-safe reminder that if we do pass that threshold and there's a complaint, that we have the authority per this ordinance to go to that owner.
Shane, is this something that other counties are using, this verbiage?
No, ma'am, not to this level, I don't believe. I think the gold standard, if you will, from, let's see, this was the North Carolina Sustainable Energy Association, NC Clean Energy from NC State. They pretty much reference, just have the glare analysis performed, and at that point, you're done. So this is to address the, over time, if the surface area starts to erode, it gives us the right to ensure. It also puts the owner on notice that, I skipped over this part. Part of this too, they have a responsibility to periodically inspect. We're just saying that every 5 years is when you need to produce a study, but you're hoping that those panels are producing the energy, and I'm hoping there's also a warranty with that too. So it's in their best interest to maintain their system, and if they're, because the point of the reflectivity is also the module integrity. So it's probably not going to produce like it's supposed to if the coating is worn off.
Interesting. So is there any idea as far as what the cost to the homeowner is going to be for that test every 5 years?
This is just non-residential, and this is committing, if you, excuse me, if you want a system that's larger than 6,000, this is the way that you would have to apply. My opinion, it is a very big commitment. Maybe we don't have any others that want to do this, but right now the answer is no. And this is a maybe if they can follow these provisions, but not for an individual or residential, doesn't apply.
Shane, I noticed that over the years, we've passed several solar farms, whatever you want to call them, and you go by them today and they're defunct, they're not operational. Do we have anything that we can put into this ordinance to declare that if they do become non-operational, that they have to come down?
For this, it doesn't have anything about the operation. It's just if the panel is producing glare, and it doesn't matter if it's operating, if there's a business there or not, they have to address the issue, either remove it or otherwise replace it. So that's what this commitment would do. But if it's defunct, it's on the top of someone's roof, could be a vacant building, but as long as it's not a safety hazard, that's what the focus of this text would be, safety.
Well, and I understand that, but my point is, when it gets to the point that it's non-operational, don't you think we ought to have something there that says it has to be removed because it's not doing the job it was put up there for?
I think it's difficult, and to the chairman's point too, the invasive nature of zoning requirements on the top of a structure. We felt like this is about the most we can do. But I agree on your comment for solar farms and these larger ground mount systems. There is a commitment that they have to decommission those.
Okay.
Aren't they required to be bonded?
That's for the
yeah.
All right, any other questions? Go ahead, Jim.
Where did we come up with 6,000? Is that, now, did I read that right? 6,000 square feet?
That's what we sort of inherited, if you will, from 2013, when we first had a distinction between the size of a system and what that really pertained to. The correlation, not to go off on a tangent, if y'all remember the residential storage facility term, it's a vacant lot with no house. You can have a 3,000 square foot max building for storing your stuff. So during a text amendment discussion with the planning board subcommittee in 2012 to 13, we used that number as a reference, and they doubled it. And that's what we come up with, is sort of what a residential use could have, sort of as an accessory function, in the expectation of that large of a system being very generous, but also more than powering your house, probably sixfold. So that's the basis of the number, and it was sort of used as a sliding scale of what's to be expected, and then at what point you need to move into another category. And in this case here, it's the commitment to extra study.
So you're wanting a non-residential, access to non-residential building on rooftop or ground mounted?
The changes for this really don't apply to ground mount. This is roof mount.
Rooftop only?
Yes, sir.
All right, anything else? Shane will stick with us a minute. If the applicant or representative, anything you'd like to say? Come on up, welcome.
Good evening, commissioners. Thank you for having me here tonight. My name is Alex Haklof. I'm with PPM Solar. I'm a licensed North Carolina electrical contractor. I've been doing this for 17 years. I just wanted to speak a little bit to material properties and how solar panels have evolved. Shane has done a great job covering the text. So in short, the text allows commercial solar panels to be installed on roofs if they are in compliance with all of the above measures. This is the strictest, most comprehensive policy that we've ever seen. Typically, it's just the hazard analysis and or anti-reflective coating. Here we have a stack of all of the above, plus the PE certification before and after, plus complaint resolution, plus periodic testing. We believe it's worth it. We believe it's worth having projects available for the county, for the businesses here. Over the years, there were problems with anti-reflective coatings in solar panels, especially in the early days when panels were low efficiency. Essentially, the efficiency of solar panels is a product of how much light gets reflected versus how much light gets absorbed. As manufacturers kept increasing the efficiencies, which are about double since solar showed up on stage around 2010, they become more and more absorbent and less reflective. So aside from the properties and durability of the anti-reflective coating itself, the very inherent technology behind high-efficiency panels is designed to absorb more and reflect less. And solar manufacturers provide product and production warranties that essentially will cover defects in production, which in turn cover any issues with anti-reflective coating. These types of claims would be initiated by the owner in their own self-interest to assure return on investment. So the very owner of the solar system is financially motivated to maintain anti-reflective coating by the virtue of placing a liability on the manufacturer who promised this will last for 30 years. And so today we're installing solar panels that are 20, 23, 24% efficient as opposed to 9 to 14 back in the day. So inherently the quality of the product has evolved. And it kind of wanted to bring it to your attention. It looks different. The cells are built different. The silicon is finished different. The anti-reflective coatings have become multi-layered. A lot of it is under the glass, right on the silicon itself. So as opposed to having just the top coat on the glass that with improper cleaning could have abrasion and wear out, which is where these problems were coming from, today we're having a much more comprehensive product as a whole. So that, in my view, addresses largely the reflection, glint, and glare concerns. I just want to bring it to your attention. And I'm here to answer any
Will
product
you be
questions.
selling this for the use in the commercial building as opposed to selling these solar units to Duke Power for some sort of an income stream or?
A great question. They will be sold solely for offset of existing consumption. They will not be sold for cogeneration onto the grid. These systems are designed to work behind the meter on the customer's property, solely offsetting their electric bill. It's not a power plant to sell electricity back. It is to invest in offsetting some of the burden that a business may incur on their property. These are some bases of design that are largely accepted as good practice today.
Doesn't matter, I'm just curious, what is the, what's the amount of the investment in this system?
Typically, commercial solar systems are ranging around $2 per watt, or about $1,000 per solar panel, $1,000 per solar panel completely installed, with all of the soft costs included: design, engineering, permitting, all of the accompanying construction process, and so on.
All right, thank you.
I have a question. So when they do come, when panels do come to the end of their life, what does it look like now as far as like recycling them, or what do you do with them?
Well, currently, there are about 12 certified recycling facilities in the United States. Several of them are here between Carolinas and Florida. There are 2 in Florida now. So Southeast is pretty well covered. The process that industry is going to very quickly is to fully recycle solar panels. As the industry grows very rapidly, so as the scale of recycling ability, so we're seeing more and more recycling facilities come online. So, for example, we don't decommission projects that are not recycled. We, on principle, we don't put solar panels in a landfill.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So this is a legislative hearing, not a public hearing? Public? All right, not a big crowd tonight, but if anyone would like to speak from the public, I'd encourage you to come forward and let's have that conversation. Anyone? All right, seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. I'll read a statement of reasonableness, and then we'll vote on that, and then move to a motion. I make motion, ZTA.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Can I ask Shane one last question?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Shane, do we have anything now that would limit the use to on-premises use of these solars? I just don't want people buying this solar unit sales pitch that they can generate power and sell it back to Duke Power and make a fortune out of it. We haven't seen anything that allows that. We haven't seen any, well, to the best of my knowledge.
If there's any way to determine, if it's on the top of their building, if it's used to power their operation or not. It's kind of an interesting concept of what he shared too, offsetting versus other, but the size of a building is not proportionate to the energy needs. It could be just a warehouse or something with a high demand. Like, side note from the data center talks. You know, you could, some of these operations want to put solar out there, but it's a drop in the bucket what it's going to need for energy. So you could just as well have a really large system that has limited power needs, but the entire roof is covered. So
Well,
I don't know of a way to
maybe
address that.
my question just shows my lack of knowledge of solar systems. The 6,000 square feet seems to me to be a pretty good size for putting on solar units. And I want it to be used for their consumption at this commercial building. That's all I'm concerned with.
I mean, I would think that's probably the only way that it could be done, but I suppose there could be some supplementing clearly. Maybe they don't.
I could see where an enterprising organization or even individual could go within this area now, and since it's only roof mounted, they could begin to talk with building owners about leasing rooftop to generate power to resell. Now, I don't know anything about that, so if you want to, you know, it's, I think folks that would use it for themselves would probably be a limited application versus folks who would start leasing rooftops.
Alex Sakharov here again. Duke Energy actually issued a policy, and now Duke Energy Carolinas and Florida no longer accept systems that produce more than you need. So they will refuse to interconnect it until it gets downsized. So that it is now controlled by the utility that has access to their billing accounts and knows how much they really need. So that has been corrected. That oversizing issue has been a problem.
Is that by company or by state? Who regulates that?
It varies by utility. So some utilities adopted a policy that they will allow homeowners to oversize, but they will pay significantly less, typically a quarter or less of the retail rate for that excess generation, so that all ratepayers can benefit.
Thanks.
So it's called either avoided cost or net billing policy, and they're very common as well. But with Duke, they simply downsize the solar system. They say you can't turn it on.
I have some, that's why I ask.
I hope this helps.
All right, I get what you're saying, good question. All right, any other questions? If not, I'll offer up a statement of reasonableness. I make a motion that ZTA 02-25 is reasonable, appropriate, and necessary to meet the development needs of Rowan County not previously envisioned, and the text surrounding ground-mounted and roof-mounted solar panels with the conical surface of the Mid-Carolina Regional Airport, based on the new text surrounding glare, maintenance, compliance, testing, and decommissioning. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, then do we have a motion to approve ZTA 02-25?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Thank you. And good luck to you. TJ, welcome. Howdy.
Got two items for you this evening. Both of these are ordinance updates that we needed to correct after some review. There we go. So the first one is the hazardous materials ordinance. This ordinance was initially adopted in 2025 for us to establish authority and procedures to recover hazardous materials response and cleanup costs. We had several instances, and after review, working with county finance, county attorney's office, we decided that some of the language in there was not consistent with what we needed to have in there. So we're asking you to hold a public hearing to consider these changes, and almost all of these are simply removing some verbiage that was either duplicated or not consistent with the overall policy. So there's these 4 sections here that we're asking to have removed. Any question?
Did the attorneys go over this with you, did you say?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hours?
Yes, sir. At least I think they were.
Never miss a chance, do we, Jay? All right, any questions for TJ? All right, TJ, thank you. All right, we'll have a public hearing. So again, small crowd tonight. Connie, anything you want to talk about? No? All right, anyone else? All right, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, do we have a motion to approve the hazardous materials ordinance update?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Very much.
Sorry,
Then,
the next one
you're up
is the
again.
fire code ordinance that we have. We were just making a simple change here. When the policy was first adopted, the initial wording in there specifically captured the year of the policy was creation and the code that was current at the time. What we're asking is to change and remove the 2006 and just include the word current so that we can use the current edition of whatever's adopted by the state of North Carolina. And we're also, by the added language, creating consistency between the fire code and the current building codes. So we're just asking to remove the 2006 and add the additional verbiage there.
I guess a question would be, I mean, that sounds simple enough. What changes between, has to be significant changes between 06 and current. What are we getting ourselves into? It is, we don't know that stuff.
Yeah, it's just normal. Every year, or not every year, every 4 years or so, they update the codes, and
And we subscribe to that habitually
correct.
anyway. Okay.
And so this just tied us into the current, or the 2006 code, and we need to be able to use the current edition.
06 is the most recent that we adopted?
That was, yes, that was the original, and we caught that as we moved in and did some review of some items. We noticed that was in there and realized we needed to get that updated because there was some questions with some of the current information that's going on that why the code or why the ordinance said the 2006 code as opposed to the current code. Current codes are 2018.
Had they done other updates before 06?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we just hadn't updated ours. So
Yes,
now
sir.
we're catching up.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, any questions for TJ? All right, we'll open the floor again for public hearing. Connie, anything? You're the only one here.
I think she's in favor.
Anything you want to talk about, Connie? No? All right. We'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, do we have a motion to approve the fire code ordinance text amendment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you
Then
very much.
Anna, thank you, TJ. We're done.
TJ,
Yes, sir.
congratulations on your promotion.
Thank you, sir.
You'll
It's
thank
not-
me later, we'll see.
Okay, thank you.
Right. So, this is the cumulative expenditures through December. We were up 7 million or 7.32% over same time last year. Cumulative revenues through December, up 4.9 million or 4.3%. Property tax through November, this is current year property tax, is up 5.6 million or 7.18%. And I did talk with Chip and Casey about like where some of this increase is coming from based on conversations at the last meeting when I did a financial report. And some of the increase is, of course, due to natural growth. So you have some natural growth. We typically have 2 to 3% in natural growth from year over year.
Will you define natural growth?
So I guess that would be maybe new homes coming into, onto our property values, and items like that. So there's some natural growth that's happening not because of a reval. So things that happen not related to reval. And then personal property, Chip said, our businesses have to pay property taxes on personal property. And that's very hard for him to estimate year over year. So he does, the best he can. And so one example that they gave me was one company, last year their personal property was under $1 million. And this year it was almost $3 million. So you had $2 million in growth in personal property in that one business. And so, so that,
It's on my Tennessee
yes,
year. I think,
yes,
last year.
absolutely. So that was some of it. When we look at the levy collected, we're through December 21st. Casey that's when we met to talk about this. In 25, we were at 77.47% collected. And in 26, we were at 77.38% collected. So our collections were roughly the same at the same point in time. And then another thing that they pointed out that could be shifting the numbers a little bit, because this is looking at through November, the same company that had the large growth in property paid their taxes in December in 2025, but in 2026 they paid in July. And so when you shift the month that you're paying in, it can shift what our increases look like too over time, month to month, so or year to year. Yeah. So just
So it may balance out by the end of the year.
could, yeah.
Looks better now, but.
Correct. So hopefully that helps explain some of the differences that we're seeing. And if you guys want me to dig into that anymore, just let me know. So then sales tax. September, this is through September, we were up 641,000 or 6% cumulative. And for just the month of September, we were up 630,000 because the previous September was down, and so it makes it look like a bigger gap in growth from the December. Yeah, so that was 18.7%. Any other questions?
So that's September, right? The
Yeah.
last one.
Just the single month of September.
And so
The
when
previous slide is cumulative year.
So we're, how many months that is delayed?
Yeah.
So basically we'll get a check from the state for September this month, and then next month we'll get a check for October and so forth. So we won't.
Right.
So we won't know what December did until a couple more months down the road.
Correct. Yes. And some of the delay is, I think the reports probably come out this week, so I can't report it to you guys because I don't have time to get it all together into a form. And so it's just some of it falls with the timing of when we're getting the next month, but I can't have it ready to present to you guys in a timely fashion. So I have to lag a little bit with that too. So.
You know my question.
Not that I know of right now. Yeah. Working through.
Okay.
All right.
All right, we have a closed session tonight. Board is asked to enter into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318-11A1. Consider approval of the minutes of the closed session held on January 5th, as described by General Statute 143-318-10E and pursuant to 143-318-11A3 to consult with an attorney. Make that in the form of a motion. We have a second.
moved.
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Excuse me. All right, we'll get going and see it's 6:45. Make a motion, we come out of closed session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We have one item that's a public item. I'd like to make a motion that we approve an engagement letter with Johnson Allison Horde Law Firm regarding the John Rink Trust, and would also like, at the same time, to make a motion that we approve a budget amendment to appropriate available fund balance for attorney fees up to no more than $75,000. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Pierce,
Motion to adjourn.
second. All right,
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Be safe.